This is Into the Unknown, Season 5, Episode 1. In this episode, we share our interview with Richard Hatem, host of the popular podcast, Richard Hatem's Paranormal Bookshelf.
You left out award-winning. Don't do that to him.
It is award-winning, isn't it?
It is.
We awarded him lots of things.
No, we sure did. That's true.
Okay.
No, but he is, yeah.
Is it award-winning?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me what it was. It was something. But it was a big deal in the podcasting world.
It could have been a potty or something.
Yeah, it's something we haven't got. So we were lucky.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah.
Not yet. Well, anyway, I'm Mike Duber.
I'm John Fitzpatrick.
All right. Any preamble before we dive right in? Do we want to talk about the technical difficulties?
I think we have to acknowledge that there were a number of technical difficulties with this.
And it hurt.
And it may show. But we had a fantastic conversation with Richard Hatem, who was a podcasting hero of mine. He was somebody that made me think I can probably do this and try to put my own spin on things. Among others. There were others. We even mentioned a few of them during the course of the conversation. He actually brings them up and was spot on. Guessing who I talked to.
And now, I think he's a hero of mine because I had a good time too. I really enjoyed meeting Richard and talking with him, and font of knowledge. Genuinely nice human being. Absolutely. And very gracious.
Very gracious. Stuck with us through the technical difficulties. And we hope to fix that and have him back. And we're gonna do some technical scrubbing of our own on our own side and figure out what the heck is going on.
Well, to be clear, there were network issues which plague any call that you're going to have. Well, network issues, there's just bandwidth issues. But then we had sort of a setup issue, and I'm not sure the call initialized properly in the first place.
Why have we switched places? I'm the one saying gremlins, and you're over there saying, no, it was science. Science failed us.
Yeah, well, it did. It did. In that case, it did. But I'm also well aware of the gremlins. Okay, well, let's dive right in. We're going to throw it over to Mike and John and Richard, and we hear this wonderful discussion. You getting an indicator?
I'm getting an indicator.
I feel like there is something that happened that corrupted the meeting at some point. So, but we're recording.
Let me tell you, this meeting has been corrupted since I got here.
I see you like drinking water, Richard.
Meetings tend to go that way when I show up.
We'll fix this. Okay.
Should I be praying or just shutting up?
We have an episode on prayer, Richard. You got to listen to that one too.
I'm so excited. Today, we have a special guest. Richard Hatem is an increasingly well-known in paranormal circles due to his groundbreaking and award-winning podcast, Richard Hatem's Paranormal Bookshelf, which is part of the Astonishing Legends Network. But Richard is also recognized for his film and TV writing and producing. His first movie script sale was for the Steven Seagal sequel, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. But we'll forgive him for this passing and entirely unintentional association with Steven Seagal. Paranormal aficionados are far more likely to be familiar with his adaptation of John Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies. He has produced and written for many genre television series over the years, including the series Miracles, his favorite, Supernatural, Grimm, and Titans. He also produces his wife Susan Lambert's podcast, 80s TV Ladies, and I want to be sure to give her a shout out as well. I was excited when your podcast title was announced. Again, that's Richard Hatem's Paranormal Bookshelf, because you and I share a deep, deep love of books, especially the offbeat books you only find deep in the store, rarely on the display tables. So I was pleasantly surprised to discover your podcast was not about you delivering a weekly paranormal book report, although there is some of that, but it's really a memoir. And thankfully, you turned out to be both interesting and relatable. Who knew? So I invited you onto our podcast to discuss books because I think books play an important role in the paranormal community. and we'll see if the conversation can also reveal some of that memoir type stuff, some biographical data about Mike and me. Although I doubt we're going to go that full memoir route. So how does that sound? Richard, how are you today?
Anyone within the sound of my voice, send help.
That's how we like it, Richard. We like that edgy feeling.
If you're listening to this podcast, let me tell you, these guys.
It's been a morning, hasn't it?
It's been a morning. We should have recorded the other episode first, Mike.
Mike, we're going full memoir. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys some questions. Yeah, that's how this is gonna go down.
Well, that sounds great.
A little about you.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna go shut the door, Mike, because I'm still hearing a little feedback.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna leave all this in because that's how we roll.
So you guys literally are in the same house, building, office?
Yeah. We're at my house, and
I mean, is it literally? I mean, that could be part of it because that sort of, when you're too close together, the echo thing.
It is, and but
I think John should go outside and sit in his car
and dial in.
Just dial in. It's fine. No one knows.
My battery will fail.
I'm telling you. We had it on another call. We had it
all right
figured out. And
it was a bigger guest.
This happens. This come on. It happens to every guy sooner or later.
It does.
And you can see how well this is going because my camera is not on, and I'm still actively, feverishly working in the background.
Mike, I actually feel better with your camera off. John, I prefer you turn yours off.
That can be done.
Well, it's been.
Should I put this back on track?
It's been wonderful being on the show. Thank you for having me.
This is great. Hey, can I get a coffee mug? You did show it, and they're wonderful.
I'm sitting here. I'm alternating between the Richard Hatem's Paranormal Bookshelf pint glass and the Richard Hatem's Paranormal Bookshelf coffee mug. The only thing I'm not wearing is the official socks and underwear.
Yeah.
You have socks and underwear? I didn't see that on the site.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Into the Unknown underwear, but I've soiled them. So
that would be amazing. Having a pair of underwear that says Into the Unknown. I think that might be the $1 million idea.
Well, now we know what goes on the merch store first.
That's right.
Come into the unknown.
This was a family show.
Yeah.
20 minutes into having Richard Hatem on, and it's gone completely.
Your audience is all prisoners and frat boys.
Well, it's just the two of them, so it'll be.
Well, they are now. I can't wait to see the trending of this. Our engagement numbers are going to go sideways in ways we could never have expected. All right, John, bring us back. Because I know we have some actually serious questions, and you know how serious we are.
For those of you who don't know John is the guy who comes onto the Facebook group and does this amazing thing. He'll take these weekend trips to various cities around the Northeast and then report on the local bookstores with pictures. I mean, it's like, okay, now here's what I think about their paranormal section. It's not as good as the one in Massapequa, but it's all right. And then there's, and then, it's a great one. And there's pictures. There's, a whole narrative going on. And what's great about it is that everyone in the Facebook group loves, pretty much cats and books. And it makes you feel like you're going to a bookstore. It's like, oh, okay, I'm really getting a sense because we all go into them the same way. It's like, okay, first I get a feel for the place. Then I pretend to look at the new stuff. Then I try to unobtrusively wander down to the weirdo section slowly. I try not to run. And then I glance and I try to have a disapproving look on my face, like, well, I don't really like these books, but I have a nephew who's into UFOs. And then you sit there going, okay, is there anything I don't have? And then if you have brought your wife along, you have her take the books to the counter. so that
Yeah.
no one.
No. I take them myself.
Shoved between cookbooks.
I take them myself. See, this,
Okay,
but
you're a
you
brave
got
man.
you've got it dead on about both how I walk into those bookstores and how I approach it and how I've seen it, because I don't know that it's come up on the Facebook group, but I actually worked at bookstores for like almost 10 years.
Oh, really?
And I met my wife working at the first bookstore I worked at. So
Oh, that's great.
she's awesome. Yeah, she's also a bookstore aficionado. So I've seen it from both ends. Like I've seen the people
Are you
walk
talking
in and
about
do it.
bookstores or your wife? Because that's totally inappropriate.
Well, it fits with the underwear, frankly.
Yeah.
Well,
There's the
listen.
theme.
Listen, I barely fit in
Yeah,
my underwear.
I guess
Let
I
me ask
walked
you
into that
this.
one.
Let me ask you this, John, and Mike will get to you if I ever see your face. John, you met your wife in a bookstore where you worked. What bookstore was it? We got to know.
So it no longer exists. I
Wow,
bankrupted.
it sounds like you did a great job.
No, yeah, it really wasn't.
Right into the ground.
It really wasn't my fault. So funny story. It was a local independent bookstore in Baltimore. We had 5 locations at its height. The name of it was Bibelot, which is a French word, and it means like it's a cognate with bauble, so it means like a small treasure. That's what it means. Except we once had a French woman come into the store laughing, and she wanted to know what we sold there because she saw our sign, and she said, "Do you know what Bibelot really means in France?" "No, ma'am." She said, "Well, because it's small treasure, you're right. We use it for testicles. And what's really funny is you only have the one." So yeah.
And then that's when you said, no, we have 5 all across the city.
Across the city. Yeah. Unfortunately, we expanded too fast and it went bankrupt.
I know
and
that
then
feeling.
I worked for Borders. My wife worked for them as well at a different location, and she worked for the Borders until they went bankrupt. I jumped ship and went somewhere else. I went off to do a completely different career that actually made use of my law degree to some extent.
Law degree. So you are a practicing lawyer.
I am not a practicing lawyer. In fact, I've proudly never practiced. Never.
That is so
and you know
weird.
why?
Why?
Do you like lawyers?
Look,
No.
let's
you
leave,
need them. Nice to
let's
have when
leave
you
my
need 'em.
perversions out of this briefly.
Nobody likes lawyers. No.
So what are you doing making use of your law degree?
We don't really like to talk about work.
Hey,
I know. I opened the door.
John's first thing
This
was
is work.
No, make sure to ask me questions. Okay, John, what do you do for a living? No, I can't answer that.
I can't answer that.
I will not talk about that.
John is
dare
trying
you.
very hard. I don't want to be a guest on someone's program.
Yeah, it's going to be bad news. Bad news.
You know, yeah,
Bad
you
news all the way
got
around.
to. If you're into the self-revelation, you got to start
Yeah, I know.
like what you do for a living.
Yeah, I'm a Mandarin in the deep bowels of a bureaucracy. Let's just leave it at that for the moment. We can talk after we're recording. But
Okay, I think we got our answer. He's a spy. He's a slow horse.
I'm not a slow. No, I'm not well, I am a slow horse, but not like that.
Yeah, you told me you were a mutter.
A mutter. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, we're getting very close to my Abbott and Costello impression, so don't start with that.
Oh,
All right.
No, not a slow horse.
All right. So, okay, but you met your wife in the book trade, and now you guys, because she's always there on these trips you take. She's in the pictures and stuff, so it feels like this is like this is your thing. The two of you, this is what you like to do. Just go to these little towns and go to the bookstores. It's very romantic, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I like to think it is. I know it feels romantic to me, but I'm not sure how it lands.
It totally is. Look, I think whatever brings people together, that can be their thing. But bookstores already, have that aura, and then to be able to share that and to like literally have it be something that plays a role in how you met your wife. I mean, that's pretty great.
Uh-oh, did we lose John? Can you hear me? John's frozen. This is so on point.
Anyway, I'll answer for John. Well, as it turns out, I am a spy. And I'll tell you, I'm currently working on an op. That's spy talk. Operation.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Boy, this is
let me continue on. I'll talk about myself. I can do that for 40 hours. I already have.
Can you guys hear me again yet?
Yeah, we hear
you.
you.
Yes, unfortunately, we can hear you loud and clear. All right.
Well, not like Jackson Lamb noises.
Well, we've gotten as far as you meeting your wife, tricking her into marrying you, and then quitting your job as a lawyer, and now that brings us up to this morning.
Yes, where we're failing miserably at conducting.
Look, that's not true. When it comes to podcasting, there's no such word as failure.
Only happy accidents? What is this, like a Bob Ross painting?
Yeah, I'm feeling this is more like a synchronicity.
How so?
For me, just me, the technical hiccups, right? I dreamt about it last night, and here we are. It's manifesting before our eyes.
I mean, that always happens whenever they bring in the equipment to the haunted house, the poltergeist room. That's when everything fails.
Right.
You can't, once you get into these areas, you cannot trust electronics or tech at all. So I think, we were asking for it, and the other world has provided their answer. They don't want this to happen.
That's right. They're holding us back. And I'm gonna jump off here, Richard, and say, what recent synchronicities have you had? And if you haven't, are you able to bring them about at will?
Okay, look, that's getting a little personal. I'm not, what, I'll tell you the notion of synchronicity, and I think there are overt examples of it.
Okay.
My skeptical / atheist friends will always remind me, sometimes coincidences happen, and sometimes very, very, very strange, unique, specific coincidences happen too. And then when you try to explain that synchronicity has meaning, well, they love that, because that's when they shake their head and go, well, of course, and that's the part you're providing. The synchronicity for you won't be the same as the synchronicity for me. And then I go, yes, that's right, but that proves that we all have individual souls. And they go, no way, shut up. And then we begin punching each other. So I'm not, I tend, like, I feel like there have been weird coincidences and sort of repeating themes in my life. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I've ever had a moment where I'm like, this is very, very strange. Like, this is eerie. I've heard of other people, and what's really interesting is that you often hear about them taking place in the therapist's office, between therapist and patient. Oh. Of course, Jung has the famous one about the patient who was describing seeing a scarab in a dream.
Oh, yes.
And again, and trying to, and I think they were even discussing the subject of synchronicity. And at that moment, a beetle flew into the room, and Jung picked it up and said, "And here is your scarab." So
exactly. That's one of those exemplary stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually heard secondhand about a person in a therapist's office who had been seeing that therapist for quite some time, a matter of years, and for the very first time ever, broached one of their deepest fears but they were embarrassed because they said, "I'm so afraid because I think I have psychic powers, and I weirdly think I have supernatural powers, and I'm not sure why I think this, but I've always felt it. And I finally had to say something to you," at which moment a book flew off the therapist's shelf and landed in between them. And if that book had a really cool title, I have forgotten it, but let's just decide it said supernatural superpowers and
the book flying
wrap
of its
this
own
podcast
volition.
up.
Exactly.
But yeah, so they do happen, but I tend not to be aware of them. Or not so much not aware, but I try to be careful because I know how much interpretation I bring to things in my normal everyday life anyway.
Interesting.
So
So
I
you've
try not.
self-modulated when it comes to them. You've modulated yourself a little bit about them.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like really off the charts for me to
Yeah.
go, okay, you know what? That will now become an anecdote.
Yeah.
It would have to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And but of course, there's the selective, this selective examination of reality, right? It was always there. You've invented it because that's what you're selecting for. You're selecting for
Yeah.
Beatles, or you're
Well,
selecting for blue cars, because that's suddenly meaningful. They were always there, and it didn't appear because of you. It was there because you've pulled it out of the background.
right. And I think that's an important part of it because that's in terms of any uh, sort of transcendent moment, there is the participation of your own personal consciousness. That's,
Yeah.
the co-creator effect. Um, you're present. Yeah, you're coming at the world and reality as far as you know it as you. So you're bringing something to it. And it's always
Yeah.
so funny, you know, again, the skeptics and whatever, Sam Harris, in his takedown of the near-death experience was sort of like, well, people describe them differently though. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
in India, they don't see Jesus, and in America, we don't see Krishna. So,
Right.
so it's clearly just the person bringing their own thing to it. And it's like, well, but if we're suggesting that we each have consciousness, then yeah, that is going to play a role. You are going to participate in
Mm-hmm.
whatever experience you're having. Uh, to say that people don't describe the afterlife all the same way, people don't describe anything the same way.
Right.
Ask two different
Right.
people what they think of New York City. And one person will say it's the greatest city in the world. I mean, the
Right.
streets are paved with gold. And another person will say it's a complete dump. I've had people talk about Paris. That's an even bigger one. People, it's the most beautiful city in the world. And then the other people are like, there's dog shit and garbage
Right.
everywhere, ankle
And it
deep
smells
on
like
everything.
urine. Yeah.
Smells like urine, and the people are rude. And it's like, and
Yeah.
that's a physical place we can all go to. It's like,
Right.
yeah, people describe things differently.
Yeah.
News headline. What do you think?
Yeah. Now, that's interesting that, you would use a city, because I've heard some thinkers say, like, you're going to get in the afterlife, or your near-death experience is going to be what you think you should get. So, and John and I have talked about this before. If you think Jesus is going to be waiting for you, you will find him. If it's a beach with a beach chair and Mai Tais served through infinity, that's what you're going to get. You're going to experience what you expect. But I don't know, John, what do you think?
Oh, is John still here?
Yeah.
Still here. Yeah, I
I
fell into my normal pattern.
Actually, I was just testing to see if the video had frozen.
Oh,
But
that's right.
anyhow,
Oh, things have been
I
going
just
so well. Well, okay, John, what do you think?
I fell into my pattern of just listening to the dulcet tones of Richard Hatem as he talked, and I forgot I was actually part of the conversation. I think that conversation was very interesting because Mike didn't give me up as the skeptic, because I am.
yeah.
But I'm first of all, I'm trying hard not to be as skeptical as I was. And I also don't think I start from as hardline a position as some. Like one of my other favorite podcasts is Monster Talk, and Blake Smith is a hard line. I know you know him, so I am not as hardline as him.
Oh yeah, he's hardcore. Yeah, I joke with him. I'm like, I'm like, I don't think you're as much of a materialist as you say you are. He's like, oh no, I am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, all right, okay, Mike, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not. My Catholic upbringing stuck with
your thinking.
Right. But your description, Richard, about some of the takedown and the differences in the descriptions, it's not so much the differences that are important to that as it is the similarities of those experiences. And the similarities do tend to be striking. And that is the kind of thing that makes me wonder what's going on. Now, yeah, you can also take the skeptical tack that as the brain processes shut down, the chemical, electrical impulses, whatever, start to create the same effects. But I don't know that covers it for me. Because I still have a core belief in a soul that I have to have some doubt about that as well, which is why that makes these mysteries mysterious and the unknown, and why we need to ask those questions.
But I mean, and look, here's the thing. The dying brain theory is not a theory. There's actually nothing to back it up. I'm sorry, it is a theory. It's just a total, maybe that's what happens when the brain shuts down. And yet almost everyone knows it. Everyone just sort of, that's a very quick go-to. Oh, it's just what your brain does when you die. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny that from the materialist standpoint, you can say almost anything, and most people will grab on to that. It's another truism that the skeptics will often say, hey, I wish I believed. I would love nothing more than to just believe that we die and go to heaven and everything's great. But I mean, I just can't, I'm too smart for that. And the fact of the matter is, most people don't necessarily wish for that. Most people want to hear, they hear any skeptical argument and they're like, okay, well, that's it. Explained away. Good. We don't have to think about that anymore, because any one of us who has gone down this road, Scott, Forrest, you guys, all the listeners, do you really think that by getting into this stuff and studying it and maybe starting to think some of it actually might be happening to certain people, you really think that makes you feel better?
No, and it doesn't. It makes me feel very much at disease. So again, for prep for this, I had time to watch about half of Mothman Prophecies on Wednesday night, the better half, of course. But it's
the relevant half.
I hadn't seen it in a long while, but your point about how the more you look at the phenomenon and the more you begin to experience that, the more unease comes into your life, the more unsettled you become. And to some degree, the more the phenomenon starts looking back at you. And to be frank, one of my nervous things about beginning the podcast with Mike was, what if there is something there and it starts to look at me?
Right. Well, I mean, that's the experience that Scott Philbrook had. I think he started out very, very, I mean, not even a skeptic, although I think he was sort of embracing that viewpoint a little bit more than Forrest, who was a little more forward with, I'm kind of, I'm more open to the idea that these things might actually have an objective reality, not just subjective. And then things started happening to Scott, and it has not made his life better. I don't think he sleeps better at night knowing there is something else. I mean, it's like, it's discovering a new room in your house, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it'd be so great. Here's the thing though. Here's what I think happens in these skeptical conversation. I think a lot of times skeptics come from a place of they were raised in a organized religious background, as you said you had, John. You raised Catholic.
So was Mike. I'll give him up.
Yeah,
that's how we met. We met in Catholic school.
Mike, were you a Mormon or a Scientologist? What were you?
No, it was Catholicism.
Oh, okay, all right. Hey, whatever weird fringe thing you're into. But I think
there are moments it seems fringe.
Getting better though. I've kept up with the prescription, so everything's cool now.
Well, it's like skeptics, it's very easy, and frankly, it's probably the ground a lot of us meet on, which is that there's a lot about organized religion because it is so directed by human consciousness and human design. that is arguable, because it becomes very human. It's like, well, why are they raising money? What does that have to do with being spiritual, and why and why are they telling me what to do when they don't do it? And that's instant. That's within 5 seconds. I was having these arguments on the playground when I was 7 years old. I'm like, well, what? So you're in a religion that makes you better than other people? I mean, that's very easy to become frustrated with organized religion and how it operates in our society, and to a certain extent when you're on the outside, but certainly, and so you can tear at that, but then along with that, and along with a lot of people who then grow up and go, oh, a lot of the stuff that I heard when I was a kid actually isn't literally true, therefore none of it's true. And then the baby of anomalous experience gets thrown out with the organized religion bathwater. And now they feel that they must defend against all of it because they're so pissed off at what they learned in church as a kid. They have to tell you you're crazy if you saw a ghost, because somehow to them it's the same thing. But of course, these things aren't the same at all. I think organized religion has very little to do with individuals having individual subjective encounters with an exterior reality of whatever sort.
Yeah. And I think it doesn't help that the phenomenon, as we may say, is so subtle. I think it takes a lot of subtlety to parse it out oftentimes. And I think that people, again, to your point, it's a binary. It's either I'm super skeptical or I'm deep buried in religion. Those are my choices. Well, I guess I'm going to have to choose one or the other. But
I mean, we live in a binary society. You're Democrat or Republican, you're city or country, coastal or Midwest, or you're this or you're that. There's or sports teams, it's like there's a discomfort in everyone knows everyone's different, but it makes life complicated, and it's much easier to go, oh, them. And I do it all the time too. I mean, here I am sitting talking about the skeptics when there's all kinds, as John has just pointed out. Yeah.
There's John here.
John, are you back? Oh,
yes.
You're back.
I'm still here.
You said you were a skeptic, and then God cut your mic.
And then God cut my mic and your audio too. So I didn't hear whatever wisdom you had to say. The truth. Your truth was cut out.
Don't worry, you can hear it when it plays. It's gonna be awesome. Biggest episode ever.
Well, I started as a skeptic as well, and my particular thing was I would just like to have an answer. I went looking. I just needed, when people talked about something, I wanted to know, what is my position on something, given this or given that, ghost or a specter or a poltergeist. I wanted to have something to say. But I have to admit that that wore off quickly the moment that I decided to pick a particular phenomenon and dig deep. And my new catchphrase is, it's almost never as simple as it seems. And and kind of looping back to the Keelian approach that says, be careful. If you notice the phenomenon, it's going to start noticing you back. And I have to admit, a couple of experiences that I've had start to make me think that it's noticing me. And
I've done everything I can. I've done everything I can to get noticed by the phenomenon. It just won't look my way.
Maybe that's the problem.
Well,
what am I supposed to? Come on. The pants don't get any tighter. I'm right here.
But that's the issue I've had too, in that I've had things weird happen around me. I've even had some weird things happen to me, but nothing that just seemed like a neon sign saying, this is it. This is the woo. This is the paranormal. This is what's you've got to accept this. You can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
And I've been to places to kind of make it happen. Nothing.
Yeah.
And you know, well, you'll notice, you'll talk to people who want, because there are people who do want that. They want something to happen to them. And right there, you know, there's a little bit of, you know, suspicion, because when you want that thing to happen, then you're sort of, you know, helping it along. You know, it's like, no, something did happen. Yes, I got it. And I want to believe, that sort of thing. And so when people tell you stories, you can sort of get that sense of, well, okay, you're kind of making more out of that than maybe I would have, but okay. And then there's the other people, the stories that I find the most interesting, where it's like, no, I didn't really have interest in this subject one way or the other outside of watching TV or whatever. And then something happened to me that is so overtly strange that I literally cannot explain it to myself. I talk about it because I want an explanation. I would like to find someone who can explain it. But it happened, it's undeniable, and now I can't, you know, unsee it. There's no going back.
Yeah.
So those, and obviously, those are the stories that are always the most fascinating, because it sort of, it cuts out the ambiguity of, no, you sure you didn't just sort of embellish this, but also it sort of feels like it can happen to you one day.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot of that, but
Okay, that's okay. I've got it all written down.
You
know, when
I'm
I
glad
was
we
11.
Yeah, but that's, I think, why cryptid encounters resonate with me, because that's seeing a ghost is one thing, seeing an angel is another. You know, those are things that people have some context for, and maybe even want to have, or might superimpose their pre-existing beliefs on. But for the most part, people don't expect to see a dogman or a lake monster, and they don't want to see it in the same way that they might want the validation of seeing an angel. And we did an episode on a Maryland dogman type beast called a Dwyo. Just accept it's a dogman. I don't need to go into the backstory. We can do that later, though. Right? But the story that I was trying to find my way into the episode, into the script, and I found a story about a couple who in the 80s would escape from because they were a young family, they would escape from their two young boys. They'd pay the babysitter, they'd go to bowl, have a few beers, and then to a local state park to make out. And after making out, they're cleaning themselves up, and they have this encounter with a dogman, with a werewolf type creature. I mean, and the woman screamed. They drove all the way home, and they're still half naked and all disheveled, and telling their kids and the babysitter. And of course, the babysitter, like, what? And the point of the story was they did not tell anybody for decades, until they found a folklorist from the University of Maryland that was recommended to them to take down the story. This has a ring of truth to me. This does not sound like something they wanted to have happen. It doesn't sound like something they had any context for, any interest prior to that. You know, they clearly describe something very unusual, that even though there's some history to that area, to having these encounters that they didn't know about. It wasn't a Bigfoot. It was this full-blown paranormal encounter of a dogman chasing their truck out of the state park in the middle of the night. Where does that come from? You know, yeah. That's the kind of thing that makes me go, what is this? What has happened? Yeah. What are people experiencing? And I think whatever's going on, people are hardwired to have these experiences in some way, shape, or form.
Well, what do you mean people are hardwired to have these experiences?
I did say that. What do I mean by it? I do think, generally speaking, humanity is primed to have an experience of the other, and it manifests in many different ways, whether that's religious. So I'm not sure I'm with you completely on there being a divorce of the religious and the paranormal, but there is a transcendent other that humanity experiences in some way. So religious, ghost encounters, psychic encounters, those kinds of things.
Well, when you say hardwired, it sounds like that suggests that those experiences are 100% subjective with no exterior,
Yeah, maybe I don't
validity at
mean that.
all.
And I guess that's the other reason why I'm on this journey with Mike, having these conversations, is to kind of come up with a better vocabulary for these things. You're right. It does sound that way. And I don't know that that's the case. Maybe part of it is. That's the other thing, is it could be more than one thing at once. Maybe partly we are hardwired to experience the external world through our senses in some way. And maybe there is an external thing, energy, entity, intelligence that isn't impacting on us. And I just don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it makes me think about, for the longest time, the metaphor of the brain as sort of a radio dish or receiver that it's constantly taking in information that's coming from everywhere and then sorting it out and making use of it. But some people, their receiver picks up more, or their radio dish is larger, and that's the people who are seeing ghosts and experiencing telepathy and perhaps UFOs and other non-human entities, because they receive even more. And then it really was only a few years ago that I heard sort of the inverse theory, which is that the brain is not a giant receiver. It's a filter. It's actually, its primary job is to block out most of what is coming in and only let through the stuff that is most important to survival. It's sort of an evolutionary theory of,
right.
How do I procreate? How do I get food? How do I survive not getting eaten by the tiger?
A lion. Yeah.
Yeah. And that the people who are having these experiences are people whose filter is sort of broken, or there's holes in the screen, like if you have a screen door.
What if it's not a broken or hole, but the thing has suddenly manifested, whatever it is, the outside thing has suddenly manifested in some way that it is triggering that evolutionary survival response. We see a dog man because whatever is out there is a threat, and I'm recognizing it as some kind of threat that way.
Well, yeah.
And it's just appearing as a dog man to me. Whereas otherwise it would just be out there and not be bothered, and I wouldn't pick it up at all.
That's interesting. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, and that sounds like a skinwalker. I mean, the very name implies it's not always going to look the same.
Right.
But people describing, but then it is funny when you go, well, maybe these are all these weird energies that present, and then something in our brain kind of goes through a Rorschach test, and we latch onto something. Maybe it's a Bigfoot, maybe it's a dog man or a goat man. But then why is it almost never a fish man or a, weirdly, even a spider man? I mean, there's certain things people don't talk about. I mean, the giant spider, that walks on two legs, or that's the size of a VW. I never hear those stories.
Isn't there? I think there is a super spider out there, isn't there, John? Weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. So, but they manifest in different cultures. Like the giant spider, the 5-foot sized tarantulas type things, tend to be south of the equator, where there are more spiders and spider threats to begin with.
Interesting.
Yeah. I see your point, and in that there's, we don't. And then I think the other thing is you'll get like
reptilian reports. Like there's the lizard man of skateboards walk.
Okay, John is now saying sometimes you get lizard man or other reptilians.
I have to say, I think the reptilians are actually interfering with the technology right now.
I'm going to do my best Gary Owens. Mike, you with me on this?
I am. I'm tracking. I'm watching. I'm I'm watching him, but I can still hear him. That's the problem.
That is the problem. Anyone who can still hear John is having a problem. Well, I'll just take it from here. When
Yeah,
I
you're
was
locked up,
14, there was a girl.
All right. I even did you see that I winked out too for a little while, and now suddenly my camera is working.
I know.
I heard that now when I was going and getting my power pack.
Hey, listen, don't brag.
And that's why the universe is the way it is. And
brilliant, John. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh God.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I was brilliant for a minute there.
That's the that's the Nobel Prize right there.
Yeah, I had solved it. I had the paranormal unified field theory figured out, matched it with non-Euclidean geometry. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's the Boolean algebra that you got to work in. That's the part.
Yeah, and the non-Einsteinian physics. If I can crack that nut,
yeah,
I'm definitely going places.
Yeah. So I heard you say I winked out and came back.
Yeah.
Did I hear that the brain is an antenna? Did I hear that come up?
I was saying that I thought it was an antenna, but it turns out it's more like the filter you put in your aquarium.
It's filtering out all the crap. Okay.
Strangely enough, that's a good analogy for what he said. Yes. Yeah. Like less cynical, but yeah.
Like something like the snallygaster. Why is that getting through?
Oh yeah. Have you heard of the snallygaster, Richard?
I've heard that word, but never in this context.
Yeah. Oh, them's fighting words.
Yeah.
Snallygaster.
Wait, I should run my questions by you. Hold on a second. Let me pull them.
Oh,
back
now we
up
get
here.
to the questions.
Well, no, but this is a good segue to find out what you know. So you last year you were at Point Pleasant for the Mothman Festival.
Yes, that is true. Right? Yes.
And then you drove to Washington D.C.
Yes. Yeah.
Frightening, John.
And then I believe
it's like a deposition.
Yeah.
Now, isn't it true that you met with Scott Philbrook in Washington?
That's right.
He's practicing to be a lawyer.
He really is. The whole
not a practicing lawyer. He's practicing to be a lawyer. You've frozen. All right, we're back to it, Richard. You and I. He's frozen up again.
Wow. It sounded like he was finally getting to something.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a while.
I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back.
have to do a lot of editing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hey,
he's back, and we were in Washington. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
So,
go ahead and interrupt, John.
On your drive to Washington D.C., you drove through a part of Western Maryland that we've reported on extensively. So I want just to find out if you've encountered any of these things because we've done stories on them. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Did you meet any phantom black dogs?
Oh no, I didn't.
Okay, I mentioned the dog man. Did you see a dog man?
No, I did not see a dog man. No.
Civil War ghosts?
No Civil War ghosts. No.
Okay. Bigfoot?
No, I would have remembered that.
Very important. How about? Okay, we get weird.
Were you abducted? And you're certain to remember that. Oh well, wait a minute.
I did. I mentioned Scott Philbrook, right? Though I did say that.
You were abducted. How about black helicopters?
No, not that I know of. No.
Oh, no black.
This is like hypnotic.
Leprechauns?
No.
No.
And these have all been seen in Western Maryland, you're telling me, and I missed them.
He's walking us through our episodes.
Yes.
He's wetting your whistle for the episodes.
Yeah, wizards? You meet any wizards out in Western Maryland?
Well,
not grand wizards. That's a different story.
I don't know.
They're out in Western Maryland for sure.
Not that I know of. No.
Okay, and of course the snallygaster. You apparently not met a snallygaster.
And you keep bringing that up, and I wish you would tell me what it is.
Okay, so a snallygaster is a Western Maryland sort of dragon-like cryptid.
Oh.
With some unusual characteristics.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
Yeah, it flies. It has a beak. It's got long, sharp talons.
So far, it sounds like a bird.
Yeah, but it's sort of like a dragon bird. It's got feathers and scales. But the weird thing is it supposedly has tentacles that shoot out of its beak to grab onto people. And it likes
Ooh.
moonshine.
Well, you've finally gotten me to a place where the snallygaster and I can agree.
I tied on a snallygaster last night. Man, I'm still getting over it. I was binge watching Netflix all day just to get rid of that snallygaster, boy.
But so the word is derived from German because we have a bunch of immigrants from the Pennsylvania Dutch population from north of the Mason-Dixon line. And it was originally apparently Schnellergeist, which means fast ghost or fast
Ooh,
spirit.
I like
And
that.
it too can be something of a shape.
Oh, he froze again.
Well, it reminds me of what the episode, the Patreon episode I just dropped with Joey Medea, talking about. I mean, they saw something dart across the road
Yeah.
In Point Pleasant,
Yeah.
and it was
This
like
is terrible.
it was sort of like flying. I mean, again, they said it wasn't Mothman, and Joey said he said it makes no sense, but if you can picture a guy sort of in a completely black neoprene suit being fired out of a cannon upward across a street, just launching, that's
Oh,
what it
wow.
looked like. So, I mean, which is really weird. Like, I mean, again, the go-to, well, it was a bird. It was you saw, it was a raven
Yeah.
or something. And it's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. See, here's the thing. I get that people misperceive things. I get that. But I do also believe that misperception lasts for a far shorter period of time than we think it does. Like there's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one fraction of a second where the torn up tire on the side of the road looks like,
Right.
a cat that's going to run
Yep.
across or something. And
Yep.
but very quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that I personally have ever misperceived something for as long as 5 seconds, which I
Yeah.
think is an eternity in terms of perception, where you're like, no, I've been staring at that thing for 5 full seconds and I still think it is a
Right.
Mothman or something.
Yeah.
At which point, other faculties are coming in, other aspects of a the brain's functioning are coming in as you add every single second of, now wait a second, what am I looking at, where am I, how am I feeling, is it dark, what
Mhm.
is that, it can't be. Mostly what you're saying is, well, that can't be, but it does.
Yeah.
So your brain is actually trying to resolve it into something normal, not immediately. I don't think that's the way the brain works, where it sees things and immediately tries to turn them into things that don't exist.
Right.
I don't think that's the way the brain works. I think it's quite the
Right.
opposite. And if you're staring at something and it goes on, so if you're telling me that for 20 or 30 seconds, you're looking at something that, is shrouded in trees and you think it might be Bigfoot, okay. Now, if you're telling me the thing is standing in front of the road in front of you, completely
Yeah.
unhidden, and you're looking at it long enough to react to it and move away or turn the car around or whatever you do, in the cases like in Lyle Blackburn's book,
Yeah.
then I'm going to say, unless you have a very, very serious neurological problem, then you saw something.
Right. Yeah. And especially when you bring in other senses. Like, not only was it standing there, not only was it 8 feet tall, not only was it not a black bear, it smelled funny, it growled, and then and then I felt its presence through this ultrasound or this, ELF, this extra low frequency, or very low frequency. I mean, I'm with you, and John and I have talked about that quite a bit. That you saw a black bear, and they would impugn these hunters as if hunters who have been out in the wilderness forever, they know the wilderness better than the most of the population, right? And to tell them that what you've seen for 4 minutes is you can't believe your own eyes, which I think is what you're getting at, and I totally agree.
So when I was Probably 7th, 8th grade. I guess it was the summer because I just wrote about it. I should know. So I was probably 13. Um, and staying up late to watch reruns of The Night Stalker on the CBS late movie. Okay. And it, so I'm up at 11:30, midnight, 12:30. Everyone in the house has gone to bed, and I'm in the family room, and I hear this crunching sound. It sounds like crunching or something in gravel or something, and I'm like, what's going on? So I pull the curtain back, and of course you can't see anything because it's night. You just see the reflection of yourself, and then I reach over and turn on the exterior light, and on the ground is the largest rat I've ever seen. I mean, it was like a foot long, and it was eating the cat food that had been left out for our indoor outdoor cat, And I'm like, but this is really weird. And then when the light came on, it sort of moved away, and I observed it, and then I immediately drew it, and tried to estimate the size. And then my grandparents came over the next day, and I said, I saw the weirdest animal last night. I'm calling it the toddling pig rat. And because it had these qualities and everything, and I'm showing it to my my parents and my grandparents, and my grandmother said, I think you saw a possum. I think that's what possums look like. They do look like, they can look like big rats, and they've got that tail, that sort of cord-like tail. And I'm like, really? And of course, then we had to go to a physical encyclopedia because it was 1979 and look up a picture of an opossum. Well, that's where I learned that what we have in America are opossums. Possums without the O, that's South America, and that animal looks completely different. That looks like a lemur or something.
Wow.
Totally different.
I did not know that.
Wow. No, in North America, we have the opossum, but we pronounce it possum for the most part. Anyway, but I looked and I'm like, oh, I think you're right. So then I got really excited. So of course, then I do the smart thing. It's like, okay, so now I'm going to stay up the next night and watch Saturday Night Live, and I'm going to fill that cat food, and I'm going to leave it out. And I get my Polaroid camera. It was total Kolchak, and I'm everything ready, and then I'm watching TV, and then crunch. I'm like, okay. So I get the camera ready, and then I pull, sort of use my elbow to push back, and then I flick on the light, and there it is, and then click, and I take a few pictures, and of course, like 3 of them, I got the glare of the flash, but one of them came out great. I mean, a very clear picture. And then I showed it around, and my grandmother was like, yeah, that we've seen those before. Yeah, you saw a possum. They're like raccoons or skunks. They just come in the backyard. They can, come off the hill behind your house. And then I figured it out. I was 13. Yeah. It took me 2 nights, and we got to figure it out.
That's
and excellent. It was exciting, but it wasn't, it wasn't Dogman, unfortunately.
No, or Wizard, or Leprechaun.
It was Opossum Man. Opossum Rat. Are we certain it wasn't a rat? Are we certain?
I've seen some big rats.
Rodents of unusual size.
I see you haven't been to Baltimore.
Yeah.
I have been to Baltimore. That episode's coming up in a few weeks.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Listen to that.
He was in the nice part.
Is there one? I
didn't.
I didn't see Edgar Allan Poe either.
It's our home city. Well, you know what? Not entirely true. I can't remember the last time I was down there.
Where are you guys, by the way? I mean, I know you're in the same room, basically. It looks like a gardening shed out behind a cleansing plant.
This is our undisclosed location, Richard.
Oh, I forgot. Right. You're running it up.
Well, we are where the dial-up sucks, apparently.
Yeah.
America?
Yeah.
You should have gone with the Starlink, Mike.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're in.
John can't say where he is, but Mike can, and he's one room away. Where are you?
Yeah, John won't answer, but I will. We're west of Baltimore, probably about 25 miles or so, in a small town called Sykesville.
Okay, so are you in relationship to Washington, D.C.? You're north
North.
or, oh, you are north. Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
We're
Okay.
Yeah.
north of DC. Yeah.
And I'm
Come down.
actually, I have a house right outside of Baltimore in a town called Catonsville. We're on the western side of Baltimore. My house is like,
I love that area. It really is a beautiful area.
It's nice. It's nice. And but yeah, John's I can hear John. He's saying, I cut out again. Yeah. It's a beautiful area. We have well, Maryland is the little America, as they call it. We've got mountains, we've got a mid-plain area, and then we've got, of course, cities and the beach. So you can get all over. um, Actually, while John is frozen, I'll ask you, 'cause I know it annoys him a little bit, but
Do
I
it.
have, yeah, I've started to take a closer look at geology, since you brought up the area. And so, when we cover cases, I'm the guy that'll step aside and say, okay, well, what's the underlying strata? Is this quartz? Is this, is this granite? Or is it shale? Is there water nearby? What's the environment? Um, and I've taken to that, and it's a little bit of a riff off of David Paulides' 411 theories and his bulleted criteria for a disappearance. And to be specific, he mentions boulders. A collection or a boulder field is something that's in concurrent with the missing area. Um, and also the water feature, which is not a stranger to specter or ghost activity, right? That the energy is moving through water. I'm leading to a question, which is basically, do you entertain those ideas? And when you discuss the phenomenon, are you as clued in on the environment? What's your opinion on that? I find it fascinating. I think there's a lot to be discovered there.
I think it's crucially important, and I think that again, I'm. It's sort of like when you're coming at anything from a materialist point of view. In a weird way, your job is fairly easy. We live in a material world, and I'm a material girl. No, we live in a material world, and so that we have, that we can look at,
Yeah,
and we can go, oh, there was this, there was that. It's like a lot of people are like, well, it turned out, I heard this thing on NPR where there was a carbon dioxide leak in this one house, and these people were having an experience that pretty much sounded like they thought their house was haunted, and it turned out it was just a carbon dioxide leak. And it's like, that's great. That's great because that's a physical, real thing that you can test for. So when
yeah,
someone else has that experience and you go into their house, you can quite easily test
you,
for that. I mean, they've
you
got
test for that.
monitors. Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
can
then
unshielded
right.
power. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you can either go, yes, that's the cause, or no, that is not the cause.
yeah,
I mean, every time there is a new materialist solution to something, it works both ways. It
yeah,
doesn't, the lazy way it works is, oh, that's just carbon dioxide. The active scientific way it works is we went in armed with new knowledge, we applied it and discovered that there was not a factor, or it was a factor, or it was a factor, but it was not a deciding factor. But now
yeah,
you've got that. But the thing is, the more of those we get that don't explain it, we've got the phenomenon on the run. We're
yeah,
closing in on it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
let's use all that. If
yeah,
there's a way to explain it through whatever, let's use that to either exclude something or to temporarily include it. And
yeah,
and that's, I mean, that I think that's what we're here for,
yeah,
not just, oh, it's that.
yeah,
But at
yeah,
the same time, let's not do the other weird thing where it's like, well, it was near water, and water is connected
yeah.
to ghosts, so it was a ghost. because that doesn't make any sense either, because I don't think we have that information. In fact, I think the only thing we have are experiencers. I really do. I mean, that's why in the conversation I had with Lyle Blackburn, and this is again just something that sort of occurred to me recently, but it's J. Allen Hynek came to the conclusion that it's not a UFO, it's a UFO experience. People, and he arrived at that phrase because people would use the same words and the same storytelling when they were describing their encounter. And a lot of it was subjective and had to do with how they felt, how they experienced it, which of course is subjective. Yeah. And he began to realize, oh, this is like a whole thing. It's not just, I saw an object, here's what it looked like, and then I went in and had pizza. It's like, I stood there, missing time maybe. Yeah. I felt this certain way. I think there's a Bigfoot experience. I think there's a poltergeist experience. I think there's the exterior stimulus and then the subjective experience of what, how did I interpret what was happening? And that's what we have to look at. We have to look at the people, the near-death experience. Well, what was it? What did it feel like? All right. And because really that's all we have. We don't have physical evidence. I'm sorry. You can go see Disclosure Day and listen to all the senators and Congress people dealing with the extremely current and important issue of, are there alien bodies? No one's got anything, including the guy who got pancakes from an alien. All we have are people having experiences, what's going on with them, and study them. That's what we got.
Yeah. Interesting. That's an interesting take.
That was my way back into the paranormal, was to focus more on what are the experiences, what are people saying, rather than, is this real, is it true, is it provable? I just found, at Essence, I really was very interested in the experiences and what people were saying and what does that mean about us.
Right. And by the way, people have been, because it's as people, people are aware there's UFOs, everyone sees movies. We get what the concept of a UFO is, even if you don't see one or don't believe in it or don't consider that it's a part of your everyday life, which for most people it isn't. But the minute you get interested in this stuff, it's always so great because you always walk in like, okay, UFOs, I'll give you one afternoon. Let's get this solved. Sweet. Because we all sort of feel, right, that we have the the capability of figuring things out and sizing things up pretty quick and moving on to the next. We got
That's pretty much been the government approach for decades. Every now and then they get a committee together and they figure it out like that within a week based on the evidence they have, and then they tell us it's a balloon. Or
I kind of take the viewpoint. I like the idea of looking at the environment only because it's. Obviously, any environment there. For every experience, there was an environment the experience happened in, right? I'm going to get wet in water. So, that's the environment, right? It's wet. I'm either standing near it or it's falling on me or I'm in the middle of it. And I think the same thing is true for the phenomena that are experienced. And I am finding that some of the scientific examinations that I'm looking at and some of the very fringe, and I don't want to use that word actually, the horizon or horizon science, that's on the frontier. I think we're starting to learn that the explanations of science are in the ancient books, and the ancient books are putting them in ways with the vocabulary that they had. It's the same way that mythology really is a way to explain the natural world, but it uses a symbolic language, right? And I think we throw away mythology to our, we should not throw away mythology. We take the stories of myths, indigenous stories, and we throw them away, saying these are just made up fairy tales, right, without looking to what kernels are there. So I think what we are discovering is that as we push the frontiers of science, to me, I think the answers are there to give us sort of an underpinning of understanding those environments that happen naturally on our planet where these experiences are allowed to happen. And so I guess it's taking that experiencer idea one step further. I want to detour though very quickly, and if you're familiar with Rupert Sheldrake and his work on a little bit, I find fascinating some of his work that using the concept that the brain is an antenna, and something like instinct is not explained by the genetics of an animal, but that the antenna of that animal as it's born and develops is actually receiving its morphology through the field that it is connecting with. It is vibrating. I'm a rabbit, and I vibrate like a rabbit, and I pick up the information field of a rabbit. And if a rabbit learns something in Cornwall, England, theoretically, and there's evidence to suggest that the rabbits in Maryland will start exhibiting the same behavior, right? So that instinct is sort of a field piece of energy that's carried through. Have you looked into anything like that or run across that in your travels?
I have, and I know that that Rupert Sheldrake is, an extremely controversial
Yes.
Figure, because right now we're living in an era of I mean, again, it's one or the other, but philosophically, all modern people living in modern societies, like literally anyone living outside a traditional primitive culture, is a modern human who by default lives in a materialist in a world dominated by a materialist philosophy. Let's put it that way. At least exteriorly, okay? And because so many advances have been made in the last 200 150 years in terms of technology, that materialism becomes a very robust philosophy that does work for the vast majority of people for the vast majority of their lives. I mean, the fact of the matter of all of this is that UFOs do not play a robust role in the lives of most people on the planet right now.
Yeah.
Nor do cryptids, nor do ghosts. Although ghosts might be sort of the number one thing that people might feel plays a role in their life. But is it a consequential role in the way that illness, poverty, various other social aspects of where you live, in countries that are, in whatever way they're run, repressive governments, and people's rights being taken away, those have immediate impacts, financial crises that you go through. I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I can't pay for food. My children are in danger. That's the stuff that has an immediate claim on our attention. And that's where most of us live most of our lives. It's funny, Farah Erdoğu, the Turkish ufologist who I interviewed about a year and a half ago, she's like, you go to these UFO conventions and it's all white dudes. In America,
you have the time.
It's all just white dudes because they're good, they're not really dealing with poverty, and they're not really dealing with racism or sexism, and they're doing okay, so they can spend their time worried about UFOs. There's not a lot of people of color at the UFO convention.
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
Or the Bigfoot conventions, although they have a little bit more diversity in terms of gender or sex, but it's still predominantly white people type thing.
Yeah. There's some women, but they're white women. I mean, it is interesting when you look at it. And
it is.
And it's like, there are cultures where this stuff is not considered so strange, so you don't need a convention. You just live your life. You go to your grandma's house, and there's the Dia de los Muertos ofrenda, And that's just part of your life. You don't have to go, wait a second, I'm Fox Mulder. What's this all about? It's like, it's about my life. I just, or you're Native American, and there's a whole other understanding of all of these things, extraterrestrials and cryptids and all that stuff. You don't have to go to the Hyatt Regency. So we're but for us, you, me, we're living in a materialist world, but it is a philosophy. And the philosophy is robust right now because it's giving us a lot, but it's giving us a lot in a capitalist society. Materialism is about money and power. And that's why it is so robust. Before then, it was religion, and religion was running the show, and it was about money and power, and still is to a certain extent. It's just getting edged out by another thing. So
go ahead.
But these are the forces within which all the things that we're interested in find their narratives and find their relative acceptance in and out of anyone's daily life. So the notion that it's going to be one or the other,
right,
and the binary conflict itself speaks to capitalism and power structures. And that's why things come up. It's like, and I've talked about it on the show, in the 1850s, when spiritualism started, could it have started in a more emblematic way than with 3 young women?
Right.
Moved forward as the domain primarily of women and homosexual men. Okay.
Yes.
And again,
and that is
right?
a lot to unpack there. Yeah.
And again, but white people, because then in areas of color, those energies are being discussed and utilized in completely different ways that have nothing to do with seance rooms and planchettes and trumpets and all that stuff. So
it manifests differently.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said spiritualism is so universally hated because there is no power structure. And there's nothing standing between you and the other world. Spiritualism is about you have access to it. In fact, the only corrupt people in that whole system are the people who claim that they have the power and you don't, and you must listen to what they say. And that's, of course, sort of the emblem of the charlatan medium, the charlatan fortune teller. But for the most part, spiritualism is, I have this, I've developed it a little bit, you can develop it too. We can go to places where we can all develop it, and I can help you talk to your dead, but pretty soon you're going to learn to talk to your dead yourself. And and there's no cover charge, and there's no the president of the spiritualist society who we must tithe 10% to.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to sort of couch the phenomenon, and there is a lot to unpack in all of that. I was going to throw in the idea that it's because of the strong materialist culture that we have, right, and also tied with the belittling of those that believe in it. Folks are going to hold back on sharing their thoughts or feelings on this, and they're going to keep it at the kitchen table. Like, hey, did you, we've got a ghost upstairs. We bought this old place. Holy crap, we've got a ghost. But I'm not going to go to the office and talk about that because I need my job. I've got a mortgage. I need to collect resources. But I was going to add that in other countries, everything from ghosts to these cryptids to UFOs is an open discussion. It's not a talk about real or unreal. It's like, it's just the way it is.
Well, as 100%.
We have a special problem here in the United States. It's a special problem, and you're on it. Binary. It is or it isn't.
But what's interesting is that it's found its way into the conversation through shows like this and Jim Harold's show, where and of course in the modern era it started with Art Bell, the first to really sort of be big nationally. But now this is how we share this stuff. But again, I mean, this is how white people in America share this, is
Yeah, I was gonna say.
we call the radio shows, and we listen to the podcasts, and we communicate with the podcasts, and we communicate on social media with each other, and we find our way, because this is a human experience that people do want to share, and you find a way to share it in the safest, most equitable way. It's fairly safe. Anyone can call anonymously into Jim Harold's podcast and say, my name is, Craig J or whatever, and here's what I experienced. And tell your experience. And we know it's not being driven by the forces in our society that drive most things. It's not greed, because you're not getting paid. And there might be some attention getting, like, I want to be part of the group. But I mean, okay, so even if that's like an insane percentage, if that's 50% of the people who call in or talk to a podcast and say, I had this experience, you're still talking about millions of people who had legitimate experiences.
Yeah.
It's not 100%. So people find a way to express this stuff, and it's important because it is that sort of unspeakable interest or experience that dare not speak its name. But there shouldn't be any of those. There should always be a place. And what's nice is there always is. It always finds a way. It's like Jurassic Park. Life finds a way, but also talking about the weird shit finds a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at how at Princeton, the PEAR lab, are you familiar with that? Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab, and all the work that they did. And again, these are I'm not a guy that bows down to academia per se. I respect subject matter experts, but I also think that there's a lot of short-sightedness within academia. Anyway, but if you trust academia, Princeton is certainly a respected school. It's buried itself in the engineering terms, and they're saying there are anomalies in engineering that we're looking at. And even with that credentialed approach, the PEAR lab was belittled by the media and others. Right? It's set aside. It's diminished, and it's just not acceptable.
Well, yeah, and so here's the part of the conversation where we always end up sooner or later with George Hansen and the book The Trickster and the Paranormal. And I just wish George Hansen was on every podcast. I don't know where I can find more of that guy, but he is a member of the Magician Society, deeply involved in the skeptical movement, yet deeply committed to the idea that a supernatural paranormal world does exist, and how do we interpret it? And I think there is a cultural taboo. It is big in America. So you can talk, like we talk about ghosts and UFOs and sex incessantly, and yet those taboos exist in America to a huge extent socially. It's like you can talk about it in certain ways, but there is that sort of almost British kind of like, but but there, and George Hansen argues that the taboo against the supernatural is actually evolutionary and fairly healthy, and that skepticism is an adaptive way to deal with a world that does have a paranormal aspect to it, because again, people engaging in the paranormal are typically not benefiting from it in any way that works in a materialist society. They're not getting rich. They're not having they're not getting powerful. They're getting fucked up and destabilized. And then it falls back on you. You've really got to decide, what is my personal individual philosophy? Well, that goes against organized religion, so that's not okay. But ultimately, if you have these experiences, that's where you have to go. You have to go, how am I going to go forward in my life, having had this experience in a way that doesn't hurt me, that maybe possibly can help me? With near-death experiences, it tends to be easier because people have a fairly uniform and universal reaction to those. Uh, Alien abduction, it's kind of all over the place. A lot of them fairly negative, but certain people have sort of decided, no, I'm going to decide that this is not a bad thing where I'm helpless. I'm going to decide that this is a good thing. And they're trying to move forward with their lives, even though there's a thing going on that the top power structures in our society of politics and academia and business, just they have not found a way to speak to any of this. We always hope they do. I think a lot of people wish there would be disclosure because it would mean that someone knows something and is in charge. And that's what we want to believe, and that's what they would like us to believe, because of course it reinforces their power. No government is going to say, they're out there, we don't know what the fuck it is, you're on your own, good luck, and vote for me. That doesn't track. You get power by going, let's just say we got it figured out. I can't say anymore. All right, you relax. Don't worry. We got it settled. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would push back on that a little bit. I think there is something knowable out there. I think there is something that is discoverable. And I think that, I think a lot of it is controlled in the research and development domain across the world. I mean, I think that I think there are advances in technology that do get control to a certain degree, and I think that it cleaves very closely to your power structure. The scads of money that it takes to do some of these things, I think, only exist in nation states. But
Elon Musk,
right? The world's
brand new
first
trillionaire.
Well, and you saw that he was going to Mars for a while, and then now he pulled back, and now he's going to shoot for the moon. And then maybe even our own nation is now thinking twice about the moon. So there's just a lot of squishiness in all of this, and it makes you wonder. And it's interesting because it begs for a conspiracy theory, right? Like,
yes,
what's keeping did someone get to Elon and said, no, you're not allowed to go to Mars for this reason or that reason? Demonstrating that would be bad for our power structure. So I don't know. It certainly is an interesting discussion. John and I have gone back and forth on disclosure.
And it's something we have very different viewpoints on, and it does get heated. But with love. Because I tend to think that if the government's hiding a big secret about disclosure, it's that they are almost entirely as clueless as the rest of us.
Well, I think that too. I think that's the answer. I think that again, if you take the idea that I believe there could be a world where if something is able to, I mean, we've had NORAD as an operational facility, detecting across our full constellation of satellites, to the degree that we can see what we think we can see. Maybe we can detect things that come into our airspace. The money to go out and to bully other countries, if it lands in the Atacama Desert, we can go down and tell Argentina, hey, we're coming in and taking this, and you can try and stop us, which you probably can't. I think that anomalous things can be easily vacuumed up by the most powerful nations in the world, and I think it's very easy to hide it. I don't think for a moment, though, that, I think it is perfectly believable that our own country has technology that it does not understand, and that is even beyond us. I think maybe we've learned some things from it. But my claim about disclosure is not they have all the answers, but just the ones that I think that the disclosure community writ large across that whole wide miasma of all those different people, a wide ranging group of different folks, They just want to know, what is the anomaly? Is it from here? Is it an ultra terrestrial? Is it an interdimensional? Is it, is it true that it does cross space and time and get here at some faster than light craft? What is it? You can keep the secrets that keep us safe. You can keep the secrets that, if in the hands of a madman who would blow up the world just to watch it burn, fine. That's great. I get that. But can you just tell us, what you know about any other beings that are not us? And I think, well, some folks would be satisfied by that. Others wouldn't, right? They're always going to look for the next thing. So anyway, that's kind of my take. I don't think they have it all figured out, but I think there are some knowable things.
It's hard because, especially now, if who said it? I think it was Joshua Cutchins. He said, "Okay, picture a world in which the person you didn't vote for president is president, and now they come out and go, yes, there are aliens. Do you believe them?" That's the problem, and it's going to be very hard because every individual is going to go, well, you're telling me something, but
so the messenger is important.
Of course it is. I mean,
okay.
Anyone who's been alive, for the last 25 years, I mean, especially with it's like, well, who's saying it? And I'll believe anything they say and nothing that they say, and the media and all the, so it really is sort of a choose your own reality. And again, outside of me having a subjective experience with aliens, it's going to be very hard for you to show me something and go, okay, so this piece of technology is alien technology, or here, you can't touch it, but this is an alien body. I'm going to go, or do we have the ability to build those things? Or, I mean, that's where the difficulty comes in, is that at the end of the day, if someone did say, okay, there are aliens, they've been coming in, they're around, is that going to change the fact that your cable bill is due on Thursday, and that, and your kid is sick with the flu or just got diagnosed with an educational, disability? I mean, it's like, okay, well, as long as they're not fucking hitting me with a stun ray right now, I still have to worry because apparently my cholesterol is too high. And apparently I can't have the lunch I want to have today because I'm going to have a heart attack. And ultimately, we're all going to be dead in a few years. I say a few, whatever, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We're all going to die. It's all going to happen, no matter if there's aliens or not. So at a certain point, what are you going to do? It really does argue for, oh, fuck all that. How's my wife doing? How's my kid doing? How's my dog doing? Are we okay today? Can I just watch some TV and go to sleep and maybe get 4 hours? Thanks.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks fall into that camp. I think there are a lot of folks that, that they get tired of the back and forth, and they don't, those questions don't interest them. You're right. It doesn't affect their daily lives. I mean, you could conceivably live your entire life in a small Mormon town, since we brought up Mormons, right? In a small Mormon town, you'll never hear about a ghost. You'll never hear about a Sasquatch. You'll never hear about it. And even if somebody does see it, they're not going to talk about it because it just it moves the status quo.
And so here's the weird thing. Oh, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
It's okay. I'm sure you're going to say something far more profound. I was just going to tell Mike we're going to have to talk about how Bigfoot plays a part in Mormon theology later.
Interesting. Okay.
That sounds like a backlog item that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All I was going to say is that, the majority of my life has been taken up with the sort of the interactions that I have with whoever's in my life. I mean, the people closest to me, wife, ex-wife, kids, friends, coworkers, relatives, parents, brother, and how I am interrelating with them, because that's what it's like. Oh God, the people I'm working with, I really hate. I really love. My boss is great. My boss is terrible. all just these sort of 1 degree of separation experiences we have consume us and determine our lives because they determine our moods and our emotions more than really anything. I mean, you can talk about who you voted for president, but I've had great years and bad years in my personal life, and it has nothing to do with what political party is in power. Again, I'm a straight white man, so that probably has a lot to do with it. But that set all that shit aside, it's the interactions you have every day with the people you interact with that determine your moods and your emotions and whether kind of your life is good or bad. And then guess what? Every story I hear about a near-death experience, everything I hear from a medium is, well, you do this thing called a life review, and it just takes you through every single moment of your life, and it just examines every interaction you had with every person and how it affected you and how it affected them, and you see it from their point of view, and then you see how it affected other people, and that's all it is. And you're sort of like, wait a second, so the thing that actually is my life is the thing that in spiritualism apparently is the only thing that's really important in the afterlife. It has nothing to do with how many hit records you put out or how many elections you won or how much money you made. It's what you said to that person that day that you said something to that person. And that's all that matters. And then you're like, you know what, then I think I know what I need to focus on. And because that's what you need to focus on anyway, because that's what's going to make you feel good or bad. It's like, am I being a dick? Maybe I shouldn't be such a dick. Are they being a dick? Maybe I need to see less of the dick. And that's
a conversation Mike and I have all the time about me.
Hey, I mean, the paranormal, we can grow in the paranormal.
Yeah, it's a synchronicity.
Well, I think that makes an interesting backdrop of the paranormal to that which is important. That the paranormal as a mechanism by which we explore, ask questions, only to find out that it's actually about how we're treating each other, right? And even to settle down some of the folks that may be listening that are detecting one side of the political spectrum or not. Disclosure appears to be both parties working in concert to do that, or at least representatives from both parties to do that. So, something that maybe we can see eye to eye on, or at least some of them.
If you take the whole pie chart of people interested in UFOs, who consider that their hobby or their interest, 95% of them subscribe to the ETH, the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and are approaching the phenomenon from the point of view of there are biological entities, non-human biological entities that exist in physical time and space who are physically visiting us, physically interacting with us. And it's a 100%, it's you can do it and it won't interrupt your materialist, except for the speed of light, you're good. You've still got pure materialism and you're good. So the very fact that so much of what consumes my time is the sort of, it's more of a psychic experience, and it's only partially physical, or it's weirder than just aliens from another physical place. That's a very, very small part of.
Is it really?
Yeah, it just.
Is it really?
It's almost 95-5.
Is it really? That's your take on it. I find that fascinating, Richard, because John will tell you, just one of the things that I'm ignorant of really in many, many ways is pop culture kind of stuff. He makes great pop culture references and pulls in like, how the King Kong from the 1930s movie affect what people were seeing and saying and so forth, right? And he makes really great references. I'm kind of stupid to that.
He won't stop talking about the Fonz.
Jumping the shark. Some of them are good. But I'm more Richie Cunningham, frankly. Yeah. I might, I tried to be Fonzie-esque in periods of my life, but I'm really kind of floored that there's really only a 5% pie wedge that is thinking of this in the sense of a psychic experience.
Sort of the
Like that the
Keelian
majority of it's nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I think it's a function of our society.
That's
And
amazing to me because there's a whole, then for me to say to you, Richard, that you're then familiar with the theories that the craft themselves are actually consciousnesses, an individual, that the ship would be a living plasmoid type entity, and you get inside of it, and you together with that consciousness are what fly it and move it through, its paces, wherever you're going to go, whatever you're going to do. It's you joining with another consciousness, and the materialist part of the ship is like this super exotic material that is almost manifested as opposed to exists, right?
yeah, I mean
And
that sounds like we live in a consciousness-based,
Yeah.
reality where consciousness plays a role in
Yeah.
physical material, and that it's being manipulated at a more sophisticated level than we have right now. And so it might be, that it could very well be. It would explain a lot. I mean, that's the funny thing, is that when you really, if you try to take what's happening and go, well, let's see if we can explain as much of the experience as we can. I think it does push you into a place of non-physical, but everyone is interested in the things they're interested in based
Yeah.
on their own personal aesthetic. So it's like, again,
Right.
it's like Bigfoot is very physical, UFOs mostly.
Is it though?
The Bigfoot, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
when you think about it, I mean, the way the stories are told is like Bigfoot's
Yeah.
out there. He's this
Yeah,
animal.
Oh, no, you're
We're
right.
animals.
You're right.
Thing. So it's very easy for people to get excited and go, "We're going to go hunt Bigfoot," or "We're going to
Right.
go find a crashed saucer."
Yeah.
Ghosts are this other thing. Ghosts are this. Ghosts we accept are non-material.
Yes.
But more and more in this space, I'm encountering people who are trying to find a way to bring all this stuff together, and
Yeah,
I
right.
understand that, because with
He's talking about Forrest Burgess.
the
Oh,
materialist
Got to take
the
another nip.
materialist view of the UFO UAP phenomenon does run into these physics problems, and that to me started to push me towards well, if that's almost insurmountable of a problem, is there another explanation? Could they be from closer in? Could they be from here? And that pushed me closer to the quest, a more Keelian view of those things, that maybe these things are already here and they're just manifesting as this. And even with the Bigfoot phenomenon, Joshua Cutchins and Timothy Renner are beginning to bring out that thing that Bigfoot isn't alone. It typically manifests with other phenomenon, or when Bigfoot manifests, it shows these characteristics that can be found in other paranormal phenomena, which starts to pull all this stuff back together and beg that question of,
Right.
what's really the source here, and is it next
But
here
see,
now?
that makes us uncomfortable because
Yeah.
it's like, come on, decide. It's like, America hates the independent party and bisexuals. Just choose one. It's like everyone hates them. Everyone. It's like you're either gay or you're straight. You're Democrat. You're Republican. You're physical. You're not. It's just like, don't double dip. And then and of course, George Hansen, Trickster in the Paranormal, he's like, all of the things that exist in our supernatural world are these things that defy the binary. It's like the cryptid. It's like man, animal, Bigfoot's in the middle.
Right. It's the missing link.
Living, dead, ghosts are in the middle.
Right.
All the things that haunt us the most are these things that aren't one or the other, because that is what is most intolerable to our central notion of, I don't know, individualism, or what we are, or our need to classify ourselves somehow. And it's hard to kind of are you a true believer or a skeptic? Well,
Right.
everyone hates the Forteans. Everyone hates us the most, because it's like, Well, you're just kind of you're an agnostic. You're not,
Yeah.
truly occupying one or the you make a decision. And it's like, well, no, that's that middle ground might be the only place you're going to figure out the middle ground phenomenon.
I agree. And you talk about middle ground, it's the gray area, it's the subtleties, it's the nuance.
We're talking about
It's
the
when you say
gray area, the gray aliens.
right,
Wow, suddenly
right.
I feel like I'm drinking too much red wine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's 2 o'clock here. Just letting you know, it's 2 o'clock here, and you could have a glass of wine if you wanted. We wouldn't tell anybody, but because you're on the West Coast, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Pasadena, California.
Ah, Pasadena, JPL. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was out there
very
a couple
close.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I enjoy very much that gray area because I think that's where those answers are. It reminds me of the book that I've read by Robert Temple called A New Theory of Heaven. Check me on that title, but Robert Temple, and he's you probably recognize him from uh, the Serious Mystery, that foundational book that influenced Robert Bauval to write the Orion mystery about the as above so below on the Giza Plateau. He went into great detail, bringing together everything that describes Sirius as the star Sirius and the Dogon tribe in Mali and so forth. So, but his work bringing together all of the thinking of the plasma physicists. I mean, that's a whole domain out there of plasma physics. And it's fascinating to me, and I'm trying to onboard as much of it as I can. And to your point of that 5% of pie wedge of folks that are willing or talking about the craft being psychically controlled or a psychic phenomenon that also has its foot in realism, apparently plasma is another one of those small little slivers of science is being executed by a small sliver of scientists. And so very few understand it. I mean, even your standard physicist is not really understanding or onboarding or dealing with plasma. And when I read his book, and he then went into the implications of what plasma is, how it can manifest, and by manifest, all I mean is it occur in the physical world. There are some very fringe ideas, but nonetheless based in science about what it can start to tell us about the world around us. And I'm frankly seeing, and so did he, that a lot of this is got 2 feet in science. And that's why I brought up with you the environment, that there is an environment we can describe where we exist as a dense matter, and everywhere in between, all the way up to very, ethereal consciousnesses that are just different vibrations of matter that are less dense, but nonetheless, and bleed through into the reality that we can sense. And I guess it's akin to Edwin Abbott's Flatland, right? When you've got the sphere that enters Flatland and you see this widening thing and then it closes back up. Right. If it were to pass through that reality, it's like that, but we just don't have the words to describe it yet. So as you might imagine, I can see science and spirituality coming together with all the different avenues that I'm running down. I'm starting to see it. What do you think about science and spirituality coming together? There was a schism. We're talking about a schism, but maybe they're coming together.
I think they are. I think it's. I'm not sure in our lifetimes we're ever going to see a scientific community, and probably if we do, it won't be here in America, that as part that sort of front loads, hey, we are using science to explore what we all know of as the supernatural.
Yeah,
that's why I mean it's still very novel and unique and fun and sort of in the realm of entertainment to think of those things and to think of to think of law enforcement employing the supernatural, and to think of the military. I mean, here's the funny thing. It's, we know a lot about the government's interaction with telepathy, remote viewing, psi abilities, things like that.
Stargate.
Yeah, that a little bit of money got used, and some high functioning individuals were discovered, but because it could not be, the evidence wasn't actionable, it kind of dissipated pretty quick. It wasn't like, oh, we can with robust consistency identify foreign targets through the use of remote viewing. It's like we sort of can sometimes, based on one guy. You can teach it, but that doesn't mean every student's going to pick up on it. It wasn't the military way. It just didn't fit in, and so it's like, okay, so money gets thrown in and then money gets pulled back out. And at a certain point, it's like, I think we just need to invest in a tank that can go upstairs better, and because at least because it always works. Like a bullet in a gun always works the same way. And that's the goal, is to figure out it. It's not like, well, the bullet sometimes works, but sometimes it doesn't, and it mistakes it. It's like, no, we need precision, and we need to be able to, because it has to be the results and recorded, and the finances and the money and the taxes and the thing and whatever. So we know what it looks like when the government investigates the paranormal, but somehow, and no one can prove it, aliens have landed, signed a treaty. They're allowed to take some of us every year, a certain amount, and in exchange, they will give us some technology that we can use, and that's going to be all cool with everyone. And to me, that's like a cow saying to another cow, "Don't worry, I signed a treaty with the people. We're going to give them some of us every year to eat." But they're giving us some of their technology. We're going to have those cars too. We're going to, we'll all be driving cars, and we'll have Game Boys pretty soon, but they'll be hoof shaped so we can play. And we got it all figured out. Don't worry about it. We're in control here.
Where are you, John?
I'm still here. I had something I was going to say about 10 minutes ago. Apparently, I didn't come through.
That's all right.
Now we've moved well past that. I was considering saying, oh, I have a friend who lived in that Black World military ops stuff back in the 80s when Stargate was going on, and actually met the guy who had stuff. And I'm afraid to have him on the show because I'm afraid he'll say something classified.
No, that's what you
honest
want.
To God, he's got no filter.
Do it.
He's got no filter.
Well, actually, a lot of that has been declassified, but I think the parts that remain classified, and it's interesting, Richard, hearing your perspective on it, or what you've heard, or I don't know who you tap into for that information. Some of the sources that I just say, it's not a person I've talked to, but just information that comes to me through different media sources, suggest that the success rate for the remote viewing was in the 80%. And that they said, oh, well, nothing to see here. We did this for a little while, but it didn't reveal anything. And so we got rid of it, which means that it would just go deeper under a different name, potentially. So I could see both happening.
Think about this. If you're, Colonel Jeffries or whoever you are, you're a colonel in the military, or admiral, you're way up there. And you, again, think about the way a government is set up, or the way the military is set up, and how it works.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
We're aware.
Like,
I'm aware. I'll just put it that way.
Okay, you're aware. All right. And now you're dealing with people, and you're encouraging people who can not only, look, if they know what the enemy's doing, they know what you're doing. How comfortable are you going to be? Let's get a lot of these. Let's train these people up. Yeah, that's what we want. Why don't we all just hand them machine guns and tell them to start cleaning the halls of the fucking Pentagon? Pretty soon, I mean, if I was good at remote viewing, I would be very worried about letting the government know that. It's like, what's the percentage? You know, I mean, if you're going to buy into a little, don't you have to think a few steps forward and go, well, wait a second, what are we really dealing with here? And is this even safe for us? And how do we control, like a tank we can control?
Yeah.
Troops we can control. That's the whole idea. These
Well,
people,
that was what apparently, and again, I'm repeating information. I don't have any direct knowledge of this at all. But that's what they were saying is like, okay, well, if we're doing this, it's almost a certainty that they're doing it back to us. So how do we have a counter effect to it? And there were cases where our own viewers were coming back and saying, well, I walked into that facility, or I put myself in that facility and I was watching, and then one of them turned and looked directly at me and acknowledged me, and I got my ass out of there. And the suggestion was that they figured out how to determine or detect, the intrusion.
Well, I mean, that's what makes books about that sort of cross that line. Like when you have like novels about, like governments, and then, the department, the Army, the Navy, and the wizards.
and the wizards. Right.
And I went to the wizard place and it's like, yeah.
The Ministry of Magic.
The Ministry of Magic. Yeah, there you go. It's like, how do you, well, what sort of warfare is that? That's some bullshit warfare. We don't even know what the fuck that is,
I would sign up. I missed my calling, man. They were going to put me in a nuclear sub, and I turned it down.
You good. You very quickly get to a place where
although I'd be retired by now, Richard.
Yeah, with rapidly growing a dorsal fin. It's like the more you think about it, the more you're like, God, I'm really glad that we're not all telepaths. I'm really glad we can't all remote view. What sort of world would that be? Thank God you can't get good at that in an easy way, and most people never will. Thank God.
Well, I mean, if you there's plenty of people that are willing to talk about the future, that where the expanded consciousness we're all supposed to be evolving into is one very much where you don't have a private thought, as they say, right. And that is eye-opening too.
It is eye-opening.
Is that what we want?
Well, and people talk about the afterlife in that way, and that always gives me pause. They're like, well, there are no secrets. You're sort of an open book in terms of your energy. So people, and it's funny because we do that here on Earth too. It's like you walk into a room, you're like, that guy's got bad energy. No, thank you. Or, oh, we really vibed. You vibed. Your vibrations were in sync. Okay.
Yep.
So we metaphorically have an understanding of what that might be like, but what it's really like, and who you choose to be with, and if you're so nakedly obvious in your intentions and thoughts, that's a weird thought. And suddenly I'm like, well, the afterlife sounds kind of stressful. But then maybe it isn't, because maybe it's just like, well, when everyone's naked, everyone's naked. So suddenly,
the concerns disappear.
Yes. Yeah. Well, at some point, it's like, oh, the fact that I had a vice in life that I tried to hide at the grand scheme, like, so did 55 trillion other people. But I'm sorry you feel triggered by your smoking habit. That you hid from grandma when you lived in the basement of her house.
Right.
And you no longer have a body to be addicted to anything, so it really isn't a problem here. So
no, God, how weird.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Well, speaking of which, books, I have a book question for you.
Oh, okay, please.
Oh, I was going to say, and John, I may be actually, John, why don't you go to the book questions that you shared with me? I'm curious about the one. Do you keep your books pristine on your bookshelf, or do you highlight? Are they tools? Are they objects? Are they relics? What do you think?
That's an awesome question. For me personally, I uh I have like sort of two running collections. I'll have the important volume, which is either, you know, a flawless first edition, or a
Mm,
signed edition, or hopefully a flawless signed first edition. And those are in, you know, the Mylar covers, the Broad art, and those are safely on the shelf. And I don't handle them a ton. But if it's like, okay, now I have the pristine first edition of a particular book, but I'm going to be covering it on the podcast, for instance.
mm.
Then I buy a paperback version for 16 bucks. And that
Gotcha.
one I mark up with all of my thoughts and underline things and make notes. And that becomes the text that I use for the podcast. And then those I also save. So I have
Gotcha.
like I've got my paranormal bookshelf of the pristine, but then I have my working bookshelf of the paperback copy of those books that are all marked up, that have my personal notes. And so that's kind of fun that I've got both. So I've never quite been able to cross the line and just go, no, my thoughts are so important. I'm going to put them right in the book. And one day someone's going to give a shit, you know? No.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. That solves my curiosity because I know my books are very much tools, and I have no problem marking them up. Um, but I'm not buying, $900, original,
Yeah.
East of Eden or something like that, and marking it up right. In my Steinbecks that are old, I'm taking good care of them. So I, I can resonate with that. I can vibe with that, Richard.
Yeah, yeah. I got into that early when when I started collecting books, like modern first editions that were novels, in other words, fiction. And I was, you know, suddenly, you know, saving my Stephen King first editions, which, by the way, are now worth nothing because when I started collecting him, a first print run would be, you know, a million. So it's
Yeah,
like everyone has a first edition of, you know, Firestarter or something,
it's
you know.
actually worth less.
Yeah, it's like unless he signed it, you know, it's
Yeah,
like, I mean,
yeah,
maybe not Firestarter, but certainly things like, you know, Dolores Claiborne. Having a first edition of that means nothing. You know,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can get one for $1 in a used bookstore. But anyway,
yeah.
but at the same time, I got a couple Ian Fleming first editions,
Ah,
Ooh.
wow.
which have appreciated. I mean, Ian Fleming is one of the few authors that just having a first edition in very good or you know, fine condition, those have gone up in price. But I would say in the last, you know, 50 years,
Yeah,
there aren't a lot of authors that simply having a first edition of the book it means anything, even best-selling authors.
yeah,
It has to be a unique edition in some way.
yeah,
Unless, again, you're looking at a phenomenon. If you happen to have a fine first edition of a Harry Potter book, even unsigned, it's going to be worth a few $100.
Hmm. Interesting. And so, I mean, and I, yeah, it's like being in the right place at the right time. I bought it, I bought it out of interest. I have it. I just have, and it happened to go and be one of the most popular books
Right.
ever. I don't know many people that can anticipate that, which is why I don't get into collecting.
Yeah. Well, I thought all these books were just automatically, just by existing as physical objects, were going to be worth more.
Yeah,
And I always knew that probably wasn't the case, but certainly in the last few months as I have moved and weeded through and just decided, okay, I can't take every copy of every Spencer novel written by Robert B. Parker. You know,
yeah,
I've got to decide. And then you look and you're like, well, okay, so what is a first edition of a random Robert B. Parker novel worth, or even, you know, Larry McMurtry or something. And you go online, and at first you get excited because it's like $2,000, yeah. But then you're like, oh, wait a second, give me the lowest price, and then you look, okay, what is the cheapest perfect first edition selling for? And once you go down, you realize, oh, they're selling for $5-10. These
yeah.
things are not physically worth anything. So then you go, okay, now just what ah hang on, you know, what's important to me. then you keep those, and even those you can't keep. So anyway, it's a weird adventure through, something I've been doing for, 40 years that has turned out to be, oh yeah, that was not a place to put your money. If money was what you were looking for.
Do you have any books that you are still looking for? Something that you just never found yet?
Oh,
that's a good question.
I am certain there used to be more. I filled in a lot of those.
Sure.
I'm trying to think if there's like some white whale of a first edition.
So while you're thinking, I'll fill some space. I found a white whale not long ago. I had a 1980, and it's worthless really, but I had the 1980s edition of the first 10 of an 11 book series. It was the Edgar Rice Burroughs Mars series, John Carter of Mars.
Oh,
I had 10. I didn't have 11. I probably went 30 years, never found the paperback in that series with the Michael Whelan art on the cover. And then like a month ago, I walked into a store in Pennsylvania and they had it on the shelf. And like you said, they're not worth much except to me, because I was so excited. I was telling the guy behind the counter, and he was just as excited, like, "Oh, you found your white whale," like you said. And I found the book I've been looking for 30 years.
I love that. I love that you found it. You found it in a store, not like online. You found it physically in a place. I mean, that's a feeling I used to have all the time in the 90s. That's what I did. I would just drive to all the, used bookstores in Southern California and go through the stock. And I found tons of great stuff. But you had to really look. It was for gold. And
that's the fun.
That's the fun part. But I have not bought a book I care about in a used bookstore in terms of like, ooh, I found this valuable edition in 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe that.
Everything is just online. Just find it online, need it, want it, buy it, boom, it's on the shelf, done. Which is satisfying as a collector, sort of, but not that sort of, first of all, all those stores I went to find those books don't exist anymore. They're not there.
Yeah, they can't
stay online. Yeah. So there's fewer places to look, and then the places you do look, because of online, don't have those books on the shelf. They just don't.
Because they sell them online for the most part. That's how they stay in business.
Yeah,
that's how the business has changed.
Yeah, you're getting paperbacks, for $5, and that's fun too. But it's not,
Yeah, I've had to fill in. So I don't know about you. I have another question about if you've got other sub collections in your library beyond the paranormal ones we know about. But I have a huge martial arts book collection, like ginormous, probably the biggest in the state. And I've had to fill in gaps there online, and that's what I've done. Because strangely enough, I don't find many martial arts books on the shelf in a used bookstore, period.
Yeah.
Because the people who read those hold on to them because it's so specialized.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a niche of the book or publishing world that I'm aware of. I know that used booksellers always say that the one genre that really doesn't move are sports books. And I don't know if martial arts, if that counts, but I'm like, well, okay, I guess people who like sports are playing sports or watching sports, and not maybe necessarily reading about sports.
Yeah.
But I have authors that I really like, but not genres, which I've discovered over the years. There are certain people who just they love mystery novels. They don't really care. They have authors they like, but it sort of doesn't matter. I just want a mystery. Yeah. Or I just want horror. I'll read anyone. As long as you got vampires and monsters killing each other, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm not like that at all. It's like, I don't like horror. I like Stephen King. I don't like spy books. I like Ian Fleming. I don't like,
Ian Fleming.
The detective people I like. Here are my authors. I like Andrew Vax. I like Robert B. Parker. I like Lee Child, and James Lee Burke. And that's about it. And then there's 60, like if I type that in, the computer will recommend a million other authors, many of whom I've tried. And I'm like, I'm not into this at all. Because for me, it's the voice. It's the voice of the author. If I'm into the voice, I'll read it. And if I'm not into the voice, I'm not enough into the genre that it doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah. How about Preston and Child? Are you familiar with Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child,
Totally,
the Pendergast work?
Yep. Familiar with that. Yep.
Okay, good. I just threw that in there because that's one that you know, if I go for it, you know, it's very, you know, I'm all over the place, so I'm not a real good, you know, I'm not the one you want to talk to about having a good collection, but like that, I just know what the little things that I like. But that was one I wanted to know about.
I'm trying because, and I would say also in the last, well, certainly in the last 5 years, but maybe the last 10 years especially, I've just really dropped out of discovering new people just because I'm like, I like the people that I like, and I'm not, you know, rarely do I find even a one-off novel that I'm so into, but I'm like, I got to stop that. I got to really try. I got to look. I got to at least
get out.
Yeah, just find a paperback copy, read 100 pages, see if there's anything, because you know, you every once in a while you do discover people, and now you get to a point where you can't even be part of a conversation anymore because people are reading books that I'm just like, I don't know who the hell you're talking about. All my people are done. All my people are dead or done. Larry McMurtry's dead. John Irving's dead. No, he's not dead, but he might as well be. I mean, you know, it's like he wrote a great book 30 years ago, and I'm just going to have to be happy with that. Robert Parker is dead. You know, so it's like I've got to start reading some people, you know.
Now, you said something interesting there, though. Just buy a paperback and try it. So Lyle Blackburn's book, but
yes.
Okay. The size is what I want to talk about here.
Yeah.
You're aware that the mass market paperback is dying, that the publishers are no longer going to produce them except for schools? Yeah. Do you have any feelings about that? Because I think that goes to some accessibility in terms of mass market versus trade and what publishers are going to be able to put out there for discovery.
I haven't. There doesn't seem to be like a go-to reason why the large format paperbacks have taken over. The only thing I can think of is that somehow they can justify charging a little more, but it doesn't cost that much more. I don't, because I know there's a whole thing that I never understood, but it's like,
well, the print's bigger, which I know we're at an age where that matters.
Yeah, that's nice, and I enjoy reading them, but there's something about, again, I grew up with the fat paperback Stephen King, The Stand, you know, or whatever. That's kind of, you know, it's kind of compact, and I kind of like it.
Really?
And I don't know why that is falling out of. I mean, I assume it has to be economics, and the economics of book publishing. I mean, the margins are razor thin, so there's got to be a good reason. I just don't know what it is, but I love that. I mean, and Lyle knew exactly what he was doing, and he wanted.
Oh yeah, no,
you know, he like he said
on purpose.
He's like, there's a 1 on it, so you know it's the first, and there's going to be more. And I'm like, you're a genius, because that just means you sold the next 3.
Yeah.
To me, sure.
Richard, given all the dead Poet Society on your shelf, how much rereading are you doing?
A lot. I mean, I just go reread my favorites, you know, so I know certain authors I know deeply. I'm doing a reread of Raymond Chandler. I do that every 10 years. I go through, there's only 5 or 6 of them, you know, it's not like there's a ton.
Okay.
And I've reread even the modern stuff. I've reread most of the Lee Child. But here's what's funny: the minute he started writing with his brother, I instantly noticed a difference in the voice, and I'm like,
sure he did. Yeah.
I'm like, and you can have those plots, you know, but
have you read one of the?
It doesn't translate for me, so I'm like, well, that series is done for me.
Yeah.
Have you read one of the new editions of the Flemings? The expurgated ones?
No, because I'm not going to read those either. Yeah, I'm against those. Can you guys hang on one second? My wife has called twice now, so let me check on this.
Oh, of course.
We keep her happy.
But then I got booted from the call, and when I rejoined, everything was working again. So
anyway, looks like Richard's back.
Yeah.
I should probably jump. Susan doesn't understand why 2.5 hours of a pot. I'm like, we're just getting started.
Well,
I'm glad you feel that way. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
I feel like
Richard, let me be the first to tell you that as the tech guy, I'm mortified by the turnout, but it sounds like you understand gremlins.
Yeah, totally. Hey, come on. We're lucky they gave us this much time.
Well, yeah. Well, so if you would join us again at some point in the future, if there's a topic you're dying to discuss and maybe we're the guys to do it with, we'd be honored. And also, I know John and I have a backlog where we would just love talking about certain topics. And now that we know a little bit about you, we really hope that if we'd ask you back, you'd come back and join us again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I was just thinking, it's like based on all the areas we got into, it's like you'll release the episode. It'll be like, 26 minutes long. It's like Richard talks about collecting Stephen King. Goodbye.
Yeah, it's all going out there, Richard. I hope you know.
Oh, shit.
We're going to put it all out there because we call it dropping pins. And we dropped a lot of pins.
Well, speaking of dropping pins, I gotta go. So if you'll excuse me.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. It really was a phenomenal conversation.
It's everything so great to meet you guys, John. It's so great to meet you. Put a whole human being behind the Facebook presence. This has been a blast. Anytime, you guys. I'm back.
Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, as we said, John, what a great discussion. I'm glad we got to put something out there.
Yeah. I mean, it really was very wide ranging.
Yeah.
He was easy to talk to. I had started by hoping that we'd be able to go through sort of a planned discussion interview about his book collection, because that's such an important part of his podcast.
Right.
And it was really what I bonded, from a distance with him over, in listening to him first, and then, as he mentioned, and very graciously, I might add, some of the contributions that I've made to his community that he's been building for his podcast online. Yeah. But when we eventually got back to that,
yeah.
But I think we had a heck of a conversation.
Yeah, I brought it back if I remember, because one of the ones that I wanted to know was about the highlighting and everything, which I do.
Yeah, that was fascinating, and I know since we're doing this out of sync.
Yeah,
I know you asked him about, or at least you asked him a question that he started talking about winnowing his collection for the move, right?
Did I hear that? No,
I thought he talked about it, but I had to hear it from the other room.
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't think I asked. Well, you had the question written down,
right? Because I was going to ask him that.
I don't know.
Well,
if he was winnowing, but we definitely. I got the.
He moved.
He's rereading.
Yes, we got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, and I think we just started that conversation, so we still actually have some material we could go back to.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
In the future,
right? Our main goal is to make every guest feel like they want to come back. So we dropped some pins with him.
Yeah.
And he said he would, so we're really hoping. But yeah, a great conversation, great episode. We hope you enjoy it, or enjoyed it, I should say. And anything else you want to mention before we close this one out?
Just in case we pick up some listeners from his podcast, obviously you found us, but we do have some social media, so you can continue to connect with us. itupodcast.com is our main website. Yeah. Links to everything, but obviously just sort of a landing pad. Yeah. But because it's a hub, mention that first. We have our own Facebook group, Into the Unknown with Mike and John. You can find us. We do post upcoming episodes and some other material that we find that is of interest to things that we've either talked about already, because we've got some backlog.
Yeah.
If you're interested, listen to the backlog.
Yeah.
Subliminal messaging.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
And we did try to bring up some of those things. And again, it was a little disjointed, but I was trying to point at some backlog in the episodes in the conversation.
Yeah.
Join us. We're here. We've got the Facebook, there's an Instagram page, same thing.
Yeah.
Into the Unknown with Mike and John.
Yep.
we are.
I've never seen it, but I trust you do. You do a good job with Facebook.
They mirror each other, so it's much the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Come join us. Hopefully you liked us, and we'd love to hear what you'd like us to do more of in the future. And that's it.
Okay. Yeah. The only thing I'll add to that is if you're on Spotify or any of your podcast delivery apps, if there's a way to give us, a rating or a follow, that really helps us get noticed more, and it expands our exposure to other people. So if you liked us, give us a rating and follow us, and that really allows us to get more attention from would-be listeners, and we would really appreciate it. All right, let's end it there.
Sure.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.